All right, we're live. Round two. Here we go. All right, everybody. This is the Tri City Synth Club virtual meetup once again at 4 o'clock instead of 2 o'clock, which I kind of like the 4 o'clock a little better. I get more stuff done. So, I got
Where's not bad.
stuff dinging. All right. All right. I'm good. I'm back now. I'm going to post a link real quick. And then we'll start on this. I'm waiting to get the link. Let's see. All right. Oh, there we go. All right, we're live now. All right. Well, we have been live, but we're showing up on YouTube now. So, all right, I'm gonna post the link. How are y'all doing?
Good.
I'm doing pretty good.
Cool. We've already been talking a bit, so before we went live, so we were just talking about VCV rack stuff like we usually are. If anything you want to tell the public, Andrew, or
Same as normal. I post on the rack development blog the rough schedule of the release for version 2 and rack for DAWs. So if you Google rack development blog, you can find that. And also I'll be posting that about weekly from now on, and I have been since the beginning of this year. So search for all the bleeding edge updates in rack itself. There are more things going on with VCV, but for the rack software itself, I post everything that happens on that blog. But other than that, nothing much else, just work.
very cool. All right, I'm posting now. All right, there we go. Just posted that out. All right. What have you been up to, Travis? Anything cool?
I've been working a lot with the analog rhythm this week. I kind of put myself into, I gave myself a challenge to see if I could make just whole tracks with just the rhythm and nothing else. So far, not so good. But I'm still going, so.
Yeah, I've still been just diving into the Octatrack and really trying to actually learn it. I mean, that's the the Electron stuff. They're great, but they're just so deep. You have to actually just spend the time and just really just use that for a couple of weeks and learn it. You know, that's really what you have to do.
Kind of my intention with the rhythm was just kind of getting reacquainted with it again and going and diving into that dual VCO thing that they added to it a while back. I haven't really played around with that too much, so I kind of wanted to dig into that.
Yeah, I saw these. They had some updated firmware. Did they update anything on the Octatrack or?
No, I don't think the Octatrack's been updated for a while. They did add that thing not too long ago. I think you can do randomizations now, maybe. I don't know if that's the Octatrack or not.
Yeah, I think that was the last update.
That they did the what do they call it? The chance and randomized like steps.
The probability per step.
Blocks, yeah. I think that's the last thing they added to the Octatrack.
Yeah, which I mean, I totally love that. That's such
it's a cool feature.
Yeah, I tend to get scared away by anything that takes me more than like 5 minutes to learn. I don't know what it is. That's my shameless admission about analog or digital hardware. If I don't know how to use 100% of what the module is before I buy it, then I'm not going to buy it. But no, I really need like a drum machine that I can actually program because I do play live sometimes. So it's nice to have everything in front of me instead of setting up some meticulous like modular patch dedicated to drums. I'd rather just have everything in a box. But it is pretty cool. I have a lot of loops and samples, so I could take advantage of both of those.
Yeah, you just need to get a 909.
Yeah.
Just a Roland 909.
Yeah, that's what you need. You got the money for it. All right, let's bring Jamie on. 3, 2, 1. There's Jamie. How are you, Jamie?
Doing good. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Yeah, pretty good.
You got anything exciting going on? Anything exciting this week or new gear or anything you want to talk about?
Oh, I mean, it's not really very exciting. I just got a Well, I bought a new MacBook, so I got a Arrow Thunderbolt 3 audio interface for it from Universal Audio.
Nice.
Oh,
It's okay. I mean, I have the Apollo 8 set up at home with the Apollo 8's got 4 cores, 4 DSP cores, and then I've got a 8-core external DSP thing that works with it. The problem with the Arrow is it only has 1 DSP, so load 3 plugins on a track and you're done, pretty much.
Huh.
So, it's cool for what I bought it for, just to be able to run from my modular into my computer and then out again to a system, but run it through like the Neve channel strip for the sound, and put a little compressor on it just to make it sound better.
Nice. So just mainly using it for live setup.
Yeah.
Cool.
I haven't really used a computer at all in my setup up until this point, so it's kind of a new thing for me.
Yeah.
Well,
I've never used a computer.
I mean, I've seen plenty of shows where computers just crash on stage.
happens all the time. Actually, I was reading, is totally not related to synthesizers, but for like drum triggers and samples, who is it? Sorry, what's the one-armed drummer? What's his name?
Oh, from Def Leppard?
Yes, Def Leppard. What's his name?
Oh, jeez.
It's like Alan or something?
I can't remember his name.
Anyway, yeah. I was looking at his drum setup. It's incredibly technical. And instead of using hardware like the Roland or Yamaha sample boxes, they have like 3 or 4 laptops that are all redundant, meaning they have analog triggers going into 4 or 3 different interfaces, and then generating their own sound, and they're all plugged into a mixer. And so you can just turn one up and turn the other down if you have problems. But they don't play around. They have 3 or 4 redundant systems because they're scared of using laptops.
I mean, most bands now that use backing tracks and, use Ableton and stuff live, all the big bands that come through Capone's and stuff, they have the same thing. They have 2 or 3 MacBooks back there all running the same timeline, because one of them crashes, just brings the other one up. So
Yeah.
But I've never seen such a small piece of a setup, just the drum sample. I mean, that's not small, because if that cuts off, that's your entire,
Oh yeah.
percussive thing. But I just thought that was really interesting. His whole setup is just like, it's as interesting as a lot of synthesizer setups are, because you've got many different brands and different like systems integrating together just to make this super polished studio-like track during a live performance.
Right.
And then a lot of stuff he triggers, since he's only got one arm. I mean, one hit, triggers several different things, and even have a delay on the triggers to trigger other stuff.
Right. He's got like 6 or 7 drum pedals. He's got usually he just has one actual pedal for his kick. The hi-hats are electronic, so he has a pedal that, like, no, it's not electronic. It's just a cable. It's just a cable that goes to the hi-hat, which is like off to his left or something, and the rest of the pedals are triggers. So you can actually like trigger a loop just by stepping on the pedal, and it'll have like a maraca or something. And as long as it's timed exactly with his playing, then it works out perfectly. But, yeah.
Do you mind posting that link later? I'd be interested in taking a look at that.
Yeah, let me actually do that right now. Because it is, it's a cool dive.
We started off last week's Synth Club with what were we talking about? What were we talking about last week? We were talking about another big band. Radiohead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Rick Allen. That's his name.
Yeah, we'll post that link, and if anybody was interested in that, check that out.
How do I do that? Like on private chat? Or?
You could do it in private chat. Yeah, you could do it in private chat for us, and then you could do it in the comment section, and it'll go out to the Facebook and the YouTube stream. And then in our comment section, we'll get all the YouTube comments that we get. We're not getting them like we were getting last week, but a few people will tune in, hopefully. And I don't know where Druth is. He said he was been on since 2. And
Yeah, he should be on here.
oh, he said be there in a second. Okay. So yeah, in a bit I'll do a Zoya walkthrough and show y'all how easy it is to patch on the Zoya.
Awesome.
I love that thing. It's like an Electron device, though. You really got to dive deep into it.
Yeah.
I downloaded some of the synth patches and stuff. I haven't figured out how to do those yet, but I'll show some of those because there's some really cool generative patches, and there's
cool.
lots of MIDI patches because you can hook a MIDI keyboard into it and stuff too.
Seems like a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it's great. Like the only complaint I had was like it was the day or the 2 days after I got it is when they announced the Eurorack version of it.
Oh,
but the Eurorack version is like going to be $200 more. But I'm happy with this. So, and it's going to be so big. I just hate big modules in my rack.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's going to be, I think it's like a 40 HP or something like that.
Ouch.
So it's pretty big. 36, I think. So, which is pretty big, but I would like to have all the extra CVs because the Eurorack version is 4 CV ins and 4 CV outs.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very cool. All right. Anybody have anything they want to talk about? I'm totally unprepared.
Well,
yeah, prepared. I spent this time off trying to make a bunch of music and ended up not liking any of it.
I'm having the same problem.
I mean, I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Started working on a bunch of dance music and started watching YouTube videos on heavy metal drumming and blast beats and shit. And I made something, but you know.
I haven't touched my keyboard for about a month actually, until this morning. I had a line stuck in my head. I must have dreamed it, and I played it and was like, "That's cool, I guess." It's about what I'd normally come up with if I just like force myself to sit in front of my keyboard. But everything sounds cooler in a dream, and then you play it back.
Oh yeah,
It's just
like
like
a lot of reverb. add a bunch of reverb. It'll sound like a dream.
Yeah, luckily, I mean, I had all that stuff. We just released all the new album and singles, but all that stuff I started recording last May. So luckily, I just had all that stuff piled up. I just had to spend hours on hours going through it all and picking out pieces here and there. So
I'm not that disciplined, dude. Like when I get done with something, like when I get done mixing and mastering it, I'm like, all right, fuck you. I never want to see you again. Go on SoundCloud, be good.
See, my problem is I just will set up a project in Reaper because we record. I don't multi-track anything. We just record live. So I mean, every time
That's
I
what
hook
I
up,
do, yeah.
and, you know, and then I'll just stop and then just add another next time we record live. So I had 18 hours of live stuff in one Reaper project. And I was like, yeah, this is really taking up all my hard drive space. I need to do something. So
yeah, I remember you talking about that. It said, you know, you spend an entire day just sifting through stuff, which is pretty respectable. I would get sick of that after 30 minutes and just want to make my own original stuff. But of course, in order to release something, you have to listen to the same track, you know, days after days. And I just don't do that.
Yeah. And then a lot of stuff I had too, you know, would be like one track would, you know, record one part one day, and then the next day would basically be the same thing from the day before, but with a little bit added to it and stuff. So then I was rendering out tracks. I was like, no, I think I already rendered that out, and then have to go back and listen because I was like, a lot of our stuff sounds the same. I mean, we have our sound, and you know, so it was just going through all of it. It gave me a headache. So I guess my own music's not supposed to give me a headache, but it did after 12 hours of listening to it.
Yeah, I mean, audio fatigue's a big deal.
Oh yeah, it is. We got some comments. Oh, Data Cult is in the chat on Facebook. So
Oh, nice.
Cool.
yeah, Adam, good guy. We've Jamie has a Data Cult episode, and so do I. So
Oh yeah.
if you want to listen to those, go check those out and check out all the great back episodes of Data Cult. And I think this week was I can't remember who this week's was.
Can you reply to those live comments?
Yeah, you can reply to him.
But I think you have to just go to Facebook because
Oh,
it doesn't let
okay.
you on the
Oh.
stream.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, and then it won't tell us the Facebook users too in our chat. So
that's nice.
yeah, it is better to have.
I'm just gonna pull up both on my computer.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually pull up the pop-out chat on YouTube.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's see if I can find it. All right. Yeah, we don't have any no comments on YouTube yet, but I pulled the pop-up chat out on there, so I've got that now.
Well, what number is Data Cult on approximately?
They're on 160, and it is Brennan Fowler. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
cool.
this
Okay.
week we played
Nice.
with him at Capone's. That was actually
Yeah,
one
I
of our
know.
last
I've
shows.
been following him on Facebook since the Capone show, actually.
Yeah.
And
Brennan's
you post
played
some
here a
good
few times too.
nice.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does incredible sets.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that night he
Some,
played at
green-
Capone's. He was using. He had the. That's when the Mimia phones just came out from Make Noise, and he had two of those going. That was a really good set.
Nice.
All right, what did I do with the pop-up chat? Now it came out. There we go. All right. Yeah. So yeah, Data Cult Audio. Go check that out for sure. There's actually a Patreon for Data Cult Audio now too, so you can. I don't remember the tiers. I'm in one of the tiers, but you get the episode a few days before everybody else does, but it's usually released on Saturday mornings each week, and there's tons of great episodes. So go check that out for sure and support that. And what else was I going to say? I don't know what else I was going to say. I was waiting for Droof to show up, and then I guess I was going to start a Zoya demo, but let me text him again.
Just to make conversation, I've been really getting into 500 series stuff.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be. I'm gonna have to get a psychologist or something.
Yeah.
It's worse than Eurorack.
It
Oh,
is.
it's way more expensive, dude.
Oh yeah, and I can actually see the industry getting a whole lot cheaper because Frap Tools has entered, and Frap Tools is not particularly cheap. They're not like dope fur, but I think Frap Tools is going to convince a lot of Eurorack manufacturers that there is a 500 series market out there, and it's the same kind of stuff. You just have to build an enclosure around the circuit board, or don't. I've seen some that are literally just shipped and then you slide it into the rack. I think they're supposed to have full enclosures because they're meant for like mixers that don't have an enclosure on the back normally. But yeah, I think most people just kind of have like a 19-inch case for it. You just slide them in. They're exactly 3U, so they'll fit in a Eurorack case if you design it a certain way.
Are the dimensions between the screw holes the same?
No, so it's not on a rail.
Okay.
Let me think about that. Actually, it might be on a rail, but it might be like a lip that comes down. So let me look at that. That's a good question.
Because it'd be cool if you just take a Eurorack case and
Yeah.
I mean it would work with sliding nuts.
Yeah, I hate sliding nuts now. God, I hate
You know, I used to really dislike them and always took them out of my cases, but now I only have two Make Noise 7U cases. So I'm kind of used to it. It's not that bad.
I've got two cases that have the threaded strips, and then I have the my Pittsburgh, which has the sliding nuts. And I mean,
Yeah.
it's so much easier just to pull something out of the threaded, and then
Oh, it is.
because
It
I got
is.
you know
Like I had in my EP360 case from Pittsburgh, I took those sliding nuts out and put threaded rails, but I couldn't get rails that were long enough for the 120 HP. So I had like an 80 HP section and then a 24 HP section. And the way the ends were cut, they weren't super accurate. I really needed to take them out and just file some off of one of the ends from each one so I could get the screws closer together. But instead, I didn't bother. I just fought with it the whole time I had the case.
I'm happy since I've took my live. I'm not bringing my 6U cases out anymore for live. I went to one of the 3U Nifty cases.
Oh yeah, that is cool.
It's forcing me to decide, actually what modules work best, and I'm actually using modules I think a little better than I used to when I just had everything, just wanted to patch everything.
I agree, dude. Like that's what happened to me too. When I went to just like I have the 1.7U that's right here with all make noise stuff in it. That's basically my version of a shared system. But pretty much all last year I played out just on that. And it really helped me learn the modules better.
Yes.
Helped me do more with less. Just think about how I build my patches for efficiency and like reusing signals for multiple things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It changed my whole mindset in terms of patching.
Yeah, I definitely recommend that to anybody that just has, way too many modules, just go down to a smaller case and really, and that Nifty case, I mean, that thing, as cheap as it is, everybody that, wants to get into Eurorack, and then, because it took me forever to get into Eurorack because I was just looking at cases and power. And I mean, you're spending $600-700 right off the bat just for an empty case with power. And the Nifty case comes out and you can get it for $250 with power and 2 modules. I mean, definitely anybody out there that wants to get into it, check out the Nifty cases by Create Audio.
Yeah, from what you showed me, it was really cool, and definitely a better deal than getting the individual parts initially.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then it has the MIDI to CV converter built into it too.
That's cool too.
That's $100 module right there. Or if you go with the OCD or something, it's $100. So. But I've definitely been happy with using that case, and I got the couple of the new Dreadbox modules. What's that? They're chrome, whatever.
Like the
colored ones. I can't remember what the name of that line is, where they're all different colors and stuff. But I've been really happy with a couple of those as well. I got the filter one and the delay one.
I've had my eye on the Nicks from them for quite a long time. I kind of want to just pull the trigger and get one.
Oh yeah, I love their stuff.
So I don't have a definitive answer about the 500 series stuff, but I'll say if you have the right screw for it, it'll probably fit through the hole, and then they will probably line up. You might have a little bit of a gap, but it might you might be able to make it work.
I should just ask Cry. He has a bunch of those modules.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't know that.
Oh, he's got a bunch of 500 series. He's got all kinds of shit that is kind of off the wall.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely hit him up about that because I'm interested in this. It'd be really cool if I could just use the top section of my Eurorack for that. If not, I'll just get like a 19-inch case because I don't see myself going any higher than like 19 inches of 500 series.
Yeah.
Because I just want to, process about 3 channels of stereo audio. That's really all I need for analog because I've got a lot of software and I don't care to do it in the box. But it is kind of cool if you start with hardware and you have a bunch of hardware sources like synthesizers or microphones or whatever. It is cool to process that all in before recording it because it's already good at that point. You don't have to like play around with plugins. But it looks like some of their differences are that the panels are like 5 millimeters thick, or no, they're not 5 millimeters. They're larger than like the 2 millimeter standard, so they'll stick out a little bit if you put them like right next to your rack. But that seems kind of unlikely anyway. Um, yeah, so someone needs to design a 500 to Eurorack interface. I haven't seen that yet, but it's possible. You just have a patch bay that connects to the bus cable in the back, and you're not going to have any balanced cables or anything, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool to run like a hybrid system, half 500 and half Euro, right?
Yeah.
Kind of awesome.
What was that link I sent you for that 500 case that had the interface and everything built in?
Yeah, what was that called?
I can't remember. That looked incredible, but then I looked at the price of it, and it was.
Oh yeah, the Cranborn.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it is pretty cool. I think it's totally worth the money. It's like priced right, because if you got an interface with that much I/O, you're going to be paying like $1,200 plus the 500 case.
Yeah.
For something of that quality. There's like an 8-slot version and then a 12-slot version. So yeah, I think it's worth it. I mean, unless you want to go super cheap and get like Midas and like a Behringer interface or something, you could replace it with like $500 if you wanted to. But
well, Behringer has their cheaper 500 series case too.
Really?
Yeah,
No
I
shit.
think they do. Or maybe that is the Midas.
yeah, I think it is the Midas because it's the same company.
Yeah.
Unless they had a Behringer branded one. Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Behringer said they were going to release 500 series modules at some point.
I haven't seen
I wouldn't be surprised, but I mean, they're in the process of going after everyone in the industry.
Yeah, they are.
I see them more every day. I think I didn't really pay attention to them until like 2 years ago, and I know they've been around forever. Like the API and the Neve, I think. I don't. Who started it? I don't know. No, it's the API 500. That's why it's called 500 series, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Maybe
yeah,
up to 500 modules though too.
yeah. It was just It was my cat is going insane. I don't know if you can hear all the scratching, but
All right. Drew's here. Let's go ahead and bring Drew in. How are you, sir?
Great.
Hey man,
How y'all doing?
good.
Good. So, what you been up to this week? You got anything exciting going on, or?
I probably told you last time I was experiencing a lot of depression. Partly it was because I feel like the thing with the music was moving forward because I was trying to perform live and I was getting in venues and I was making progress with that, and then that just got abruptly killed, and I think that's what got me in the depression, because then all of a sudden I'm like not making any progress on any projects. So then so I was just sitting here just trying to figure out how am I going to be happy, because the problem with my job is that I hate it. I fucking hate it. And so like if the other part of my life isn't good, I can't work. I just can't. I just feel like I'm torturing myself or something. So I had to resolve that, and I think I found a project that I'm going to do that I'm like finally excited about, and I don't know. I feel like it's the one.
Cool.
So I'm excited. I'm really excited about it, and it incorporates music. It's something I can do now. It doesn't involve me buying any more equipment. Basically, there's no excuses to not do it. So I made one beat. That's what I was rehearsing. That's why I was getting a little bit late. I made a beat that is going to sort of be maybe the theme song for it. And I've been practicing lyrics with it, and it's been going pretty smoothly. So I'm pretty excited about it. But the other thing is, though, I don't really want to talk too much about it because I have a habit my whole life of not finishing a project and mostly talking about them, mostly planning them. So I don't really want to talk too much about it, but in terms of my mindset, that's where I'm feeling really good right now. So like, and of course that helps with the job that I hate, because basically while I'm working, I can think about it. You know, it just makes my whole life better. And plus, I know why I'm sitting there working as opposed to me working in something I hate. And then when I'm done hating my life, then don't know what I'm doing. That was kind of a terrible cycle to be in.
For sure. I've been through sort of a similar creative thing too, dude. Like the beginning of this this shutdown, I hooked up all my synths in my kitchen. Everything was set up, and I turned it on a bunch of times, made a bunch of beats, did not like anything. And it's been sitting there for, well, about 3 weeks now. And I just brought part of it into work today. It's tough. I mean,
not liking what you're making. I was experiencing that too, because I was like, maybe I didn't know what I was doing and my energy wasn't good or something. And everything I was making was bad. And of course that just
spirals.
Spirals. Yeah. You're like, oh, now I just shit in every way.
I'm just fucking myself up.
I was told by somebody one time though that depression is a tool that nature gives us to allow us to overcome these kind of things. I've really kind of embraced that. So she told, I've always dealt with manic depression, and she said manic depressives basically have all this crazy energy and they're driving at these goals the whole time, and sometimes the wheels are falling off, but they're so busy flying at these goals that they're not maintaining. And then so nature's way of controlling that manicness is the depression side. So bam, all of a sudden you're locked down and you can't get out of bed and you just lay there or whatever. You don't go to work for 2 days, which is what happened to me. And then while you're laying there, your brain is start cataloging everything and sorting everything out. And then eventually you resolve it. And then you see your goal again, and then you get manic about it again. I feel like that's kind of the cycle. And that's, to me, I like the cycle. I feel like it's a natural human cycle that's been employed throughout history. But now people mostly medicate that. So that's a kind of a political talk I just had, but it's kind of what I'm going through right now. And I'm on the upside of the manic depressive.
It looks like Jamie has a customer,
Rant.
So we'll keep talking here.
I was just ranting about manic depression, but yeah, I'm pretty excited about having a goal finally, and I have been playing with the so I'm excited also about doing a track for the submitting a track for the what is it called? Something on
switched on rack.
Yeah, switched on. So I've been playing around with it. I actually made my first patch. So I took somebody else's patch and I replicated it, and then I started playing around with it and trying to make it do other stuff. And so I basically built my first patches. It's pretty fun and cool, and was making some sounds I actually liked that I was like, oh, I could actually record that and use that for my arpeggios or whatever. So that was exciting. That's been exciting. Writing lyrics, that's the other thing too. Trying to get start incorporating just get better at understanding how words work with stuff so that I can start incorporating words into the synthesizer stuff I'm making. Cool. That's everything.
Yeah, I did a track this week for the switched on rack that we were talking about last week. So I submitted a track for that. Andrew, you want to plug that right now since you were talking about?
Sorry, what are you talking about? I had zoned out.
The new switched on rack release.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so VCB does a community album, I guess I'd call it. It used to be every 4 months or so, but we've kind of taken a break from it. But we want to get back into it with Volume 4. So the theme of Volume 4 is to use acoustic or external instruments, pass it through VCV, and produce a song sort of live, like a live recording. And submit your tracks. We'll have them professionally mastered, and then we'll release it as Volume 4. We're also doing Volume 5 in parallel, but Volume 5 doesn't have the requirement that you have to use acoustic instruments. So if you want to do something completely in the box, you can submit to be included in Volume 5. If you want to do something with your voice or an urban recording or scraping your fingernails on something or a guitar or whatever, then submit it for Volume 4. But yeah, the rest has to be VCV. That's the only thing. Yep. So, it's called Switched on Rack. You can find our Bandcamp at, I think, switchedonrack.bandcamp.com. We also have a couple on YouTube. So just search for Switched on Rack on YouTube as well. They all sound really good. They usually come out to about 2 hours of modular music, and we try to get like 20 to 25 artists on a volume. But yeah. More information is on the Bandcamp description page. You'll have a form that you can submit your music to, and we'll consider it for the upcoming albums.
Cool. There you go. So everybody submit a track for that, and yeah, that should be fun.
I do want to use the kalimba like you suggested. That was a good idea.
Oh yes, I fully expect someone to use that. I know a few people that use kalimbas with VCV already. I think Omri Cohen actually has performed a live set using that plus VCV. It's a pretty cool combo.
And then I'll probably have the only track with a hurdy-gurdy on it. So.
Yes, probably one of the only tracks, period, with the hurdy-gurdy on it.
Yes.
Ever released.
Except for Coil. Pretty much everything Coil did has hurdy-gurdies on it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Excuse me, gotta go.
All right, so Droof, did you want to play us anything you've been working on, or?
All right. All right, so I got a couple questions I want to see real quick. I'm about to switch over to something I can read, right? Can you still see me right now?
Yeah, we still got you.
Okay. All right, next question about volume. See if this is too loud or what.
You can probably go up a little bit. Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds good? All right. All right, let me get set it up real quick. All right, here we go. Okay, how loud am I? Too loud?
Yeah, you are louder than the music.
Okay, all right. So so what this basically is kind of a sketch for what I want to do. I like this guy's rap style that I stole these lyrics from, and I'm trying to perform them a little bit with this track. And I did make this music. Okay, I need one more thing. I'm sorry. I'll be right back.
All right. When Droof gets back, he's going to perform some of the stuff he's been working on. So, and then I'll get ready for a Zoya demo after that. And Andrew doesn't have his desktop, so I guess no VCV rack this week.
That's a good point. I didn't make that connection, but you're right. I can't perform today, so I'm free.
Salute.
Oh, then we need to talk about the Make Noise teaser too. We'll talk about that here in a bit.
Oh yeah.
All right, you guys ready for me?
Yeah, we're ready.
All right. So this is the track. So that's a little slow, I think. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Watch me do this shit and I'll break their sweat. Running like I haven't had my first meal yet. If I ever really rap, I would go on the greatest streak. Whole team straight as the baby teeth. Stop playing me. Undercover singer boy, but rap to perfection. Me and Kenny Beats is like witness protection. So don't try me or you're going to jail, bitch. Here it goes, no Keenan and Kale, bitch. Then I'm gonna do a little freestyle and sing on a song or do something like that up in here. We can sing a song and make some kind of chorus or two verses. We do it again. We might repeat ourselves the second time. And then we do something, you know what I'm saying? We do something like that. And then we come back into the other part with the lyrics, something like, it was just the other day in line this lady tried to skip. Said she was a crip. Let me ask Vince. Find out you lying, we gon' call Zach Fox. He gon' stuff your body in a tiny black box. He gon' suffocate you with his mustache, ho. Your baby mama look like a bus pass, bro. If you're then you know what I know. Gotta borrow Jason's skin just to walk to the stove. Gotta have 30 references to walk to the door. Why the fuck you think I rap? It was that or sell dope. Straight from Los Angeles, but came out reserved. Down to make a splash since I jumped off the curb. Vernacular, spectacular, and T.I. with the words. Disrespect the game, and you're living with the curse. See a nigga care about his bars this much since Smack DVD. I had EBT, that's a TBT. I'm ready for war, dressed in camo like on BBC. At the next like a DDT. Ass back mad cause they have not. It ain't my fault you dropped an age, you ass shot. Then go back into my freestyle for a second. Let the drop build up. Go back into my freestyle for a second and let the drop build up. Go back into the freestyle for a second and let the drop build up. All right, we're gonna come back in with the final verse and we're gonna repeat ourselves one time. It was just the other day in line this lady tried to skip. Said she was a crip. Let me ask Vince. Find out you lying, we gon' call Zach Fox. He gon' stuff your body in a tiny black box. He gon' suffocate you with his mustache, ho. You're making mama look like a bus pass, bro. If you a black man, then you know what I know. Gotta burn, takes his skin just to walk to the stove. Coming for the throne. If you think I won't, dead wrong, Kenny Long. I might need some more instrumental, my boy. Cause you couldn't hold a candle at a vigil, my boy. On wax, I get real sentimental, my boy. Big millions crying on these instrumentals, my boy. This show the bootleg Jimmy Kimmel, my boy. Here to destroy, send a decoy. I'll probably employ. Reverse the mission, send them back and kill for the boy. I got power, guns by Malone. Fuck up the shot, get in the post. Reach for the Tommy, Betty gon' go. I know I'm a noose, give me a rope. That's it, that's all the verses. And this is basically an outro. So that those lyrics were by a singer by the name of Black who freestyled on a show that I like to watch called Kenny Beats.
Nice.
All right, that's it. I'll shut it down. Just an outro pretty much from here.
So was any of that VCV rack, or was that your Korgs?
That's all the Korgs, yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and I arranged them on in a DAW, Fruity Loops, or FL Studio.
Nice. So you've got Fruity Loops sequence in the Volcas, or?
No, I did it the ghetto way because I still haven't sorted out that whole what do we call it? MIDI
interface.
Yeah, so I basically just played this song or tried to play a song that I did live. I'm probably yelling now. Stop yelling. So there was I played a gig live one time, and these guys rapped for me over this beat that kind of evolved. And it was actually a pretty good beat. So that was the beat that I then I tried to reproduce it, and I recorded all the parts, and then I chopped it up and mixed it and all that stuff in FL Studio. And yeah, so it's basically a sampled version of the Volcas.
Very nice.
That works.
So I wanted it to be like I'm wanting to actually write my own lyrics for that, for kind of a theme sequence, kind of like Adventure Time has one, cartoons like that.
That's what you should do. You should just do your own cartoon because you have the illustrations and the music. You could do it all.
Yeah, that's this project that I'm wanting to do now. Like I'm like, oh, okay, why didn't I mean? I know why I haven't. I've always been, and I think this is back to I'm sorry. I hope I'm not always ruining these things with drug conversations, but part of the change in me has also been that I've never finished a project. I mean, I have sort of when I was in school, I used to finish them, but I have to have some kind of incentive all the time, like a very hard incentive. And the reason for that was, I believe, was, well, there's different ways of describing it, but perfectionism, it's kind of a type of OCD, perfectionism and fear of failure. So, you are an artist and you want people to like your art, but before you want to show it to them, you want it to be perfect because you don't want them to not like it. So therefore, you don't finish it. You basically intimidate yourself out of finishing your projects, and that's what I've done my whole life. Most of like what I've ever shown is mostly, in process stuff. Almost like any art that most people know me for is just things they've seen me sketching. Never really anything finished. And so I think like this weed mentality or whatever psychedelic mentality has allowed me to number one, not to notice so many things that I never noticed before, like imperfections in other people's stuff, like even on TV, you know, and how like it's almost these haphazard occurrences that really make things better, not a perfectionist point of view. So like, I think I hope that's what's going to allow me to finish. I don't know if it will or not, but I'm also not going to try to finish it. I'm just going to do it in a more indirect manner. I don't want a script, because I'm like basically trying to remove all the obstacles I've ever given myself in the past. Like, oh, I need a good script. I need a good universe. I need a good set of characters. I'm just like I'm planning my own projects to death. And instead I'm just going to start making a panel, and it's got a character I've already made before. And then what's the next? Well, all right, well, there's one of my wife's characters. I'll throw that in there and just throw this project together and let it move forward organically. That's my hope. So it's been working. I've been drawing and doing all kinds of stuff I don't usually do. This song, I feel like this song allowed me, like, it came together because I finally had like this feeling of like purpose. And so it allowed me to put that song together. And now I've been practicing these lyrics and trying to get better at what I want to do with words. So I'll show you guys progress. I hope that like by next week, I'll have some of the animation started.
Awesome.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be an exciting project. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. And I also know I can just like write another song. I can be like, I'll just know that each song is the next episode. And so basically an episode is an animation that lasts for the length of one song. So it's only 4 minutes and 20 seconds in this case. And it's kind of funny to make it 420, but I like 4 minutes and 20 seconds as of the length for an animation. That's still a lot of animating. But the way I want to do it, so and I'm also like taking animation out of my way by trying this style that this online animator does. It's Neely Brothers. He has a show called China, Illinois. Yeah. But when he was originally on YouTube, he was animating songs and little episodes with basically still frames, but occasionally there'd be close frames. So like the guy's standing there like this, and then when he goes, "Peace out, guys," his hand throws up a peace sign or whatever. So it's like, you know, 2 or 3 frames for every minute or every 10 or 12 seconds or something. So I want to do that and take some of the pressure off of, you know, the actual labor part of animating, and just focus on the highlights of the action, and then putting them together and making it interesting enough to put out an episode that people get a son of a narrative from, and maybe that would cause people to bite to follow the narrative, plus to be interested in the music. So it feels like a good plan, especially, and then again, taking more obstacles out of my way, because you know, like with this live performance thing, the music I want to make requires that I have more equipment and that I learn a lot more, and so that's kind of a huge obstacle, and the equipment thing is a money obstacle that's very difficult for me to overcome under my circumstances, especially with COVID going on. So, here's an interesting fact about COVID. It's prevented me from going back to court, which would have relieved me of almost $500 worth of child support in January if I could have made it, or February, whenever month that was, I was supposed to go. And it got pushed back, and then COVID occurred. And so now basically I'm paying $500 a month per COVID month of money that for a 25-year-old child of mine, which I'm glad it's going to her. So, I mean, it could be worse. But still, you know, money is an obstacle for me for music, for getting more equipment. But now that I'm trying to take all these obstacles out of my way for this project, I'm just going to use everything I have. No excuses, you know what I mean?
That's way, man.
And we were talking about that earlier, about just using, you know, less equipment than, you know, you've seen what I have. I have way too much. I mean, so sometimes when I sit down to make music, I just end up sitting there for an hour looking at everything I have and be like, what do I use? I mean, and that's why I've downsized and went to a smaller case that I actually make music on, as compared to just the rack of shit that I don't touch.
Yeah, I've seen that online. A lot of online performers talk about that.
Yeah.
I was telling Jason earlier. All this week I've just been doing everything on one drum machine / sampler, nothing else. And that's I don't have anything to show for it like you have today, but nevertheless, it got me going and working this week. So that's sometimes it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, you've accomplished more than we have this week, Drew. So there you go. But I do like the way that sounded, and I mean that whole project does sound great. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with my voice yet. I haven't really played around too much with it. I definitely want to process it a lot. I know it sounds a lot better when I process it. Plus, if I have headphones on, I get to, I hear, like, some of what was happening sounds kind of like reggae. And that thing I was doing freestyling right there was just freestyling. I don't really sing it all the time, and sometimes it does come out. Well, I mean, that's the second time I've done that. I was doing it right before while you guys are on. That's why I was late getting on. I was trying it for the first time, and so I wanted to freestyle something there or make a chorus or something. And so I like the singing. That's cool. I do have a background a little bit because I went to high school in the West Indies, and it's kind of a very pivotal time to experience very amazing change of life, and then all this new music, with reggae and calypso and all that. So I was thinking maybe I should incorporate that as. I feel like I'm kind of like at this point where I'm like, I had this moment yesterday when I've asked myself, I keep saying there's some project that is, I'm going to go, well, this is what I was training for because everything I need, I have. And when I thought of this project with the animation and the music and all that, it feels like I've been training for it. And I was like, well, I went to school in the West Indies and I used to listen to reggae and I still do. Why not incorporate like reggae in it? I have acted a little bit, been in some plays, which I really enjoyed. I've written, which I really enjoy. So the plays thing will be a chance to act, voice acting. I love animation, voice acting. So like, that's not something I've been interested in, but I am interested in the voice as an instrument. So the voice acting is part of it and singing. And I don't know, it's pretty exciting.
Cool.
And the VCV rack, I really do want to incorporate that. I mean, when you think about whimsical stories, I want it to be whimsical, kind of like Adventure Time. I call myself Drew the Human. It's kind of, Finn the Human is a character in Adventure Time.
I've got to step away real quick. I'll be right back.
I imagine like for Adventure Time, VCV rack making whimsical, ambient, twinkly, whatever. I could really see for different episodes using the VCV rack for that too. It would really add to the ambiance of whatever story you're telling at the time. It depends on the story, I guess.
I've seen a couple films and TV shows that have their entire background soundtrack as VCV.
That's cool.
And I've talked to a lot of producers, and they say that they prefer VCV over hardware, even though they have a budget of like $20,000, because they can take it on the train or in a coffee shop and just put some headphones on and get some work done.
Yeah.
So from strictly a pragmatic sense, VCV is kind of easier to use. The only reason people would prefer hardware is the tactile feedback and maybe the analog sound or whatever. But I think if you're just producing something for the purpose of getting a listenable track out, VCV is like more efficient. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
I can't move this thing with this camera. It's really hard. It's just like reverse. It's like a joystick or something. That's a little robot character I like to do. He's going to be in it too. And I want to do a really sketchy, easy style like that so that I'm not, again, taking more obstacles out of my way and not put all this pressure for it to be finished. So hopefully I'll have something next week and maybe a new song or something.
Data Cult Audio asked if you had watched Midnight Gospel on Netflix, and I was going to ask you the same thing.
I have. It's I will definitely trip acid and watch it next time. It's too over the top for me right now. My weed sensibility is not on that level. But next time I'm doing, I don't know, meth. Just kidding. Something that's a little harder. I will watch that again because it's woo. They're not pulling out. They didn't hold back on that, did they? Have you watched it?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. Woo. Nuts.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because you were mentioning, Adventure Time earlier, and I think I don't really understand who's who, but I understand that somebody from Adventure Time does work
Yeah.
on Midnight Gospel,
Creator,
and
yeah.
there's a
So
lot of like modular synth stuff in that one. So I thought that would you'd like that.
I watched this thing that was a big inspiration for getting me to this point. It was so there's this show which I think I've plugged before. I would call it plugging. Called The Big Les Show. It's on YouTube. It's made by this New Zealand kid, this young guy. He was in high school when he started it. It's kind of a mental story because the first episodes he created on YouTube, and they're all free, by the way, so you can watch the whole thing. He created on a laptop that he got from a class, and he drew every animated panel of these 3-minute or 4-minute animations on the touchpad, the little touchpad, with his fingers.
Wow.
In MS Paint. So
Wow.
So the quality is crap, of course, but you can I don't remember how I got sucked in. I don't know if it's right off the bat, but I feel like it was right off the bat. Like there's something about his storytelling quality that is that good, and the animations seem like crap, but it's like, to me, I lose. You know that what's that thing they call it? The suspension of disbelief. I forget that it's an animation watching these stories. A part of it is because I also discovered them when I first discovered drugs. Back to drugs, so here's getting back to the story. That's the animated series is called The Big Les Show, and he just came out with the making of The Big Les Show, which I just watched for the first time, where he talks about the process of him creating this show on his own on this touchpad by himself for a school project, and then he has the psychedelic experience right in the middle of it, and basically goes into the existential crisis and has this big thing, but he continues making it and he finishes the project basically. And then Comedy Central picks up a series of spin-off that he makes for them. And then he turns down another project from Comedy Central to finish his own project, which is this Big Les project. But now he's using like real gear and stuff. And now he's been doing it for years. And it's fucking really, like, the quality goes up. You can watch the quality of it progressively get better and better. And the storytelling is insanely good. I'm sorry, my beard, I should have trimmed it. The quality is insanely good and gets better. And so basically that was another thing that I was like, just no excuses. This guy is making animations with a touchpad laptop with MS Paint, and I have the most advanced graphic design programs there are, plus a degree in graphic design and illustration. There's no, why haven't I done this already? Because I've always known I've wanted to do it. Like, my idols for projects are these teams of people that make their own animations. Squidbillies, South Park. It's usually just Beavis and Butthead, like two nut job kids making the weirdest outsider animation, and then all of a sudden they're famous and they're doing what they love to do for money, right? So that's what I've been dreaming of, and I feel like finally I'm just like, okay, no excuses. This guy, and I feel like it's finally his documentary that took me there, because you can see, how did he even do that? I don't understand. How did you do that? How did you make this insane real world, unbelievably believable story?
Hi, I'm back and Jamie's back.
I'm going to summarize this really quick because I ran it for a while, about this Big Les Show. It's an animation on YouTube, free on YouTube, made by a New Zealand artist who started it while in high school for a school project, and they got a computer. The first time he ever used a computer, he got a laptop, and he did the whole animated series almost on the touch part on the keypad. He drew it in MS Paint. And then it got picked up by Comedy Central and all this stuff, but very inspirational. Plus, he had an existential crisis that was caused by drugs right in the middle of it. So it makes it another compelling story. And then of course that gets incorporated into the story, which is why it appealed so much to me, because I was having all these new drug experiences, and I had what he described. He described what I had, which is I've heard it called the ego death, where you basically die and stop existing, and you step outside of reality, and then you come back into reality, and you experience reality in a very almost too real way, like the way it's kind of gross. Like you realize that we're fluid, and you're like just overly conscious of what we are. You know, like bones, your teeth. Like I started being bothered by my teeth because they're like these rocks that are in your mouth. You know, like weird stuff like that. But that series kind of covers that experience. Like it described the exact vision that I had from a different point of view, but I recognized every moment of this one particular episode where the character has his first mushroom trip and discovers that he was made in MS Paint for the first time. And I was like, I saw that. It was just like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, so, because I was very skeptical also about the experience, and I still am. I don't know if any of that shit's real. But it's very strange to me that other people that had all have the same experience and describe the same thing. Like, and I wasn't aware of these other stories because I wasn't that conscious of the drug culture. But after having had this experience and being like, wow, is that what reality is? And I was like, no, that's just your mind making up crazy shit, right? And then going online, all of a sudden seeing the exact same story that I thought my mind just made up, repeated by numerous people. So I don't know what that means, if it means anything, but I think it's a pretty weird phenomenon. Yeah, I'm still a skeptic. I don't know if any of that shit's real, but so that I think that series really is my idol. I'm gonna try to. That's what I want to do. Whatever quality.
I looked that guy up. It looks like he did a Rick and Morty episode.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, and plus his writing, like I think that's what it's about. Like the animation is kind of shit, but when these animated characters are doing the things that you recognize real people do constantly, like very subtle things, then you just forget that they're not real people, and he does all the voices too, so you don't even think, oh, that's the same guy doing all these voices, because what he brings in terms of their character changes and their personality and stuff like that. To me, I think I don't know what this series is about or why I'm so drawn to it, but there's a lot of aspects of it, and part of it is the artistry of it too, you know, like the storytelling quality that this guy brings, and the drug aspect of it, the independent nature. Oh, him turning down a series to finish his own series that he wasn't getting paid for. That was pretty inspirational. Kind of Dave Chappelle-like, you know. In personal integrity, artistic integrity, I don't know. That was inspirational. And it paying off. Of course, the underdog winning in the end, that's the final. The fact that he had artistic integrity and that it paid off is pretty awesome.
Cool.
The Zoya time?
Yeah, y'all ready for the Zoya? Let me see. I'm gonna have to. Let's see. Let me get my.
I'm gonna be sharing this stuff for a second.
All right. Let me bring up the cam for the Zoya. Let's bring that full screen. All right, there we go. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you. Well, let me not move it out of. All right, can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
All right, so first I'm gonna show y'all a couple of patches on like the synthesizer side of things, and then I'll just build like a simple delay patch. Let's see. So here's the cool. Let me make sure I got it up. I think it's turned up. This is just a keyboard patch. Can y'all hear that good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So this patch, you have your oscillator into a filter, and then it has some, let's see, there's the gate, ADSR, and then it has delay and reverb effects on it as well. And then it has just the buttons down here, the keys for the keyboard. And you could also use a MIDI controller with it too.
Adorable.
And then you could add a sequencer to it too. So I mean, that's just showing you the synthesizer side of things. And then, like a lot of the patches I use on here, I use basically like a lot of granular delays. Like there, that's just the organelle running through some granular delays and stuff. So yeah, a lot of the patches I use are very glitchy and granular type stuff. It's because that works with what we do. There's a lot of loopers built in here too. We can use these. So this is basically just 3 loopers randomly looping parts of the beat as it's running through. So then you can come up with all kinds of chopped up type stuff. And then I'll get down here to a blank patch and show y'all how easy it is to start doing doing a patch on these. So everything's blank on this one. So any square you push on here, that'll bring up your menu, which you can't really see clearly on here. But everything's broken up into interface modules, audio modules, control modules, analysis modules, offset modules. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with an interface module. And we're going to do an audio. It's going to be audio input. And you can change the color of every module so you can, if you have a certain way, so you know what colors are what. I always do blue for the interface. So that's going to be the audio in, which I don't need stereo. I need, I think I just have left hooked up. Yeah, we're just going with the left on that. All right, and then we'll need an output. Well, you can see there's your audio coming into it from the organelle. I don't know if you can see the screen. Yeah, you can see the waveform now, what's coming in. And then down here, I'm going to put an output. Also the interface module audio output. And we're going mono on it as well. And put a gain control on it. Okay, so now we got your audio in, and then you can hook them together now if you want. And
So that last light was, it's not going stereo out. That last light was a gain control you added to it. Is that right?
Yeah, I have it's a mono out, but I have a gain control on it as well. So there's your gain control on your output.
So you just press that little pad and turn the big wheel to. Okay,
yep.
Gotcha. Cool.
So that's the way you adjust everything, is by whatever pad you touch. That's what the encoder knob is going to do now. That's and then cool. If we just want to go audio in to audio out, we just connect them together. Done. So, which the volume's really low for some reason. So, but that's what we're doing. But we're going to disconnect those because there we go. I didn't click done. So now we got it. So now you got your in to your out. All right. So now we're going to disconnect that. Hold them both, and then. Oh wait. I got to remember how to disconnect stuff. Oh, now I deleted the output. All right, hold on 1 second. Worked out much better when I was doing this yesterday. So let's go with left. Gain control. Blue again. All right. I know this is the worst demo video anybody's ever seen now. Okay. Okay, now let's add a delay. Same thing, but we're going to go to a audio module. We're going to go to an effect module, not audio.
So did you pick that second row just out of?
Yeah, you can pick any row or any page that you want. So I just
find that delay up right next to the input that you created there.
Yeah, I can put it there too. Yeah.
So you're not foregoing that row if you put something on it.
No, not at all. But I moved it up there, so now we got it up there. We'll go with the delay with mod. Left in, left out. All right, we're done. So now we'll connect your audio input to the delay in. So now we got the delay going. You can change your input audio level. But okay, we got that done, and then we can connect the delay out to the audio out. Let's see how loud this is going to be. Okay. So now we're just running the audio through the delay and the delay into the output. So we got delay time, you got your feedback, all that good stuff, but we're going to control that with CV now. So let's just pick this row here, and we're going to go to some control modules. And we're just going to go to an LFO with a triangle. And we're done. Okay, so this is going to be the speed of the LFO, and we're going to hook the LFO to, let's hook that to the delay time. So you just, the LFO out into the delay time. So now you have that LFO is adjusting the delay time.
That's cool.
You can see right here. We can make that LFO slow if we want to. Let's add another one for the feedback. Do a sine wave on that. And let's see, hook that up to feedback. So there you go. Now you got the LFOs controlling the delay time and the feedback. And we can speed up. We can actually we can have a sequencer control them as well. Or let's go ahead and add a reverb to this as well. Oh. For some reason, it's not letting me add audio. Hold on. Oh, there we go. Yeah, no. All right, let's add a whole reverb to it. Okay, then we'll go the output of the delay into the input of the reverb, output of the reverb into the input or the output of the audio interface. Oh, hold on. I screwed that up. All right, well, let's have this again. All right, then the output delay. All right, we should be getting something now. Oh, there's reverb out. All right, now there we go. All right. So y'all getting the gist of it a little bit?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier than what I just did earlier. I threw some patches together really quickly, but everything's it's very modular. You just add stuff together. That's all you got to do, in and out.
So can you use this as kind of like a multi-effects unit if I just want to run an electric piano through it, just get some like subtle processing?
Oh yeah.
So does it have like you said reverb? Does it have chorus?
Yeah.
Cool.
See, effects. You've got your delays, ping pong delay, distortion, fuzz compressor, gate, plate reverb, hall, room, ghost verb, phaser, chorus, vibrato, flanger, tremolo, envelope filter, ring modulator, and a cabinet simulator. Those are all the effects.
Nice. Yeah, the last like 6 you mentioned would be useful.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I like those auto filters, and also the cab emulation would sound really good.
yeah, the cabinet emulation in this thing is actually great. And all the reverbs, everything is modeled after the Empress effects anyways. So, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
familiar with Empress effects, their
Although,
stuff's incredible.
yeah.
So, Jason, you said it's got MIDI. Does it
Yes.
also have CV in and out as well, or no?
It does. It has a foot switch out, which is a CV out, like if you're using an expression pedal.
It's got MIDI in.
Yeah, MIDI in and MIDI out.
That's cool.
I mean, it's deep. You can do so much with it. And then it has all the. Let's see. When you get to your control modules, is where you have your LFO sequencers, your ADSR sample and holds, CV inverse, value trigger, CV flip flop, CV delay, CV loop, CV filter, slew limiter, clock divider. Then you can do the switches. You can make any of these buttons basically switches or triggers for like other modules. Has quantizers, steps, multipliers, randoms, rhythm generators. I mean, it has everything.
That's crazy.
Is it set up, Jason, so that it's just stereo in, stereo out, or are there multiple ins and outs?
Yes, it is stereo in and stereo out.
Okay.
And then on the Eurorack version, I think it's 4 ins and 4 outs, I think.
Oh, wow. Do you know if you can assign different effects to the different inputs?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, you'll be able to do that because it's all modular. You can assign everything. Like when you go into the audio interface, I can actually have basically a left in and a right in, and put those to totally different paths, and then have the outputs to totally different paths as well.
On the pedal version, you're saying you can do that?
Yeah, on the pedal version
Oh, wow.
on the Eurorack.
Cool.
That's cool.
And then just the audio modules, as far as like Eurorack type stuff, it has oscillator, VCA, filter, multi-filter, delay line, panner module, pitch shifter, balance modules. It has mixer modules, which are really great too. Like in the granular patches that I built, I've got one audio in into 4 different granular delays, and I have all the delay outputs going into a mixer. And then I also have the dry going into the mixer too, so I can control each separate granular, the volume for each separate, and for my dry input.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, I mean, there's just so much stuff. Yeah, there's noise sources, multiples. I mean, loopers. Oh, yeah, that's the new thing in this one is the sampler and the looper in the latest version. It has, well, the newest version with the sampler is not out yet, but it's actually going to have a mono and stereo sampler, and you can record your samples on the fly, or you can have the samples on the SD card, load them in, and play samples from the SD card.
That's an update coming to this particular unit, or it's a different unit?
Yeah, it's coming to this unit.
Okay, that's cool.
From this point forward, the pedal and the rack mount and the Eurorack version they'll both have the same firmware because they're built on the same DSP and everything. So nothing will change as far as one of them won't get better updates than the other one.
That's a lot of bang for your buck for that pedal. That's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. And the sampler, I just watched an interview with him during one of the Heinbach Super Booth ones, but the main guy from Zoya that does the programming, he said the sampler only runs at, I think, 6% of the CPU. So you could actually have like 10, 12 samplers all on this pedal, and you're not going to run out of CPU from the DSP. Wow. So, I mean, and then you could have separate, you could have, sequencers and everything triggering. I mean, there's so much you could do. You could build your own drum machine out of this thing, really.
Oh, yeah.
There you go, Andrew. You just need this, and then you can have whatever drum machine you want.
Yeah, it could work. Can you do feedback loops in that? Like just by programming it, not by patch, like nothing.
Yeah.
Cool.
You said that you could make like generative synth patches and stuff in it too.
Yeah, there are a ton of cool. I don't have any downloaded on this one right now, but patchstorage.io is where all the patches are. There are tons of people that have generative synth patches built on this thing that are just incredible. I mean, I am really happy. I mean, when this thing first came out, I saw it. I was like, that looks cool, but it's just, I think it's going to be too hard. And then I watched a bunch of videos, and I was like, it doesn't really look that hard. It still looked a little hard, but when I got it, set it down in front of me, I mean, it was really easy to figure out. I mean, within the first 20 minutes, you understand, especially if you come from a modular Eurorack background. I mean, because it's just patching stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely think it's worth the money. If anybody's interested, you should definitely go buy it.
They're sold out, though.
Are they?
Are they?
Yeah, I just checked the website. They're sold out on the Empress website.
Ah, damn. Yeah, I think I got, whenever I got mine on Amazon, I can't remember who I got it from, but they only had like 1 or 2 left in stock. And I'm sure they're going to be on back order for a while because of everything going on in manufacturing. And
yeah.
And I think the Eurorack version is supposed to be released in the next 2 months, I think is what they were saying.
How much is that going to be again?
The
Like,
Euro, I think the Eurorack version is $650.
nice. It's like not, yeah, like for a Eurorack module that does that, and honestly, maybe the E301 can get close to what that does, but yeah, that's a really good deal.
Or that MSSP.
Yeah, that one's pretty insane. I think Christian just got that. The ER301 is what the other one's called, which Christian also has.
Right.
Of course, Christian has it all.
Yeah, he's basically Richard Devine with the amount of hardware that he has right now. Have you seen his new rack project?
No.
He's building a 7-row rack. It's probably 200 something HP wide.
Wow.
He definitely won up to me because I thought I got my 5-row 126 HP rack with the like 2-row attachment,
Mm-hmm.
but his is like way beyond that. And he plays live a lot with this smaller stuff, so it's like,
I know.
and he knows how to do that. Not many people know how to like have a studio rack and play that well, and then actually, make a live set that sounds comparable. But yeah, he's
right. Yeah, I mean, he plays on a Mantis case.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are cool. I need to get one just for like taking photos of stuff.
I had one, and I wish it had a cover so that you could feel more comfortable leaving it patched. Like I left it patched when I carried it, but I was always worried about it falling over and snapping off cables.
Oh.
Yeah, Christian has the backpack for it, but I mean, every time he puts it in there, I mean, you can just see cables bending and stuff. I'm like, I just wouldn't be comfortable with that. But it will be nice that Christian has a case and he can take all those modules that he just has sitting in cardboard boxes everywhere and actually use them.
Yeah, so I went over to his place once and I told him like, wow, you've got modules on the table here, you've got modules in your portable rack, and then you have modules in your desktop rack. That's insane. And he's like, yeah, you haven't seen my closet. Man.
Yeah, well, whenever I got my Octatrack, I was like, yeah, I just got an Octatrack. He's like, yeah, man, I got one like 9 months ago. I was like, well, what do you think? He was like, I guess I need to find it and pull it out of the box. I was like, you haven't even taken it out of the box? He's like, no, I guess I'll have to learn how to use it now.
Yeah.
Like, that's Christian.
Well, one thing I always complain about with his studio is that he has that like Mac Mini that you can buy for like $200. Like all of his DAWs, he has the Apollo 16 or like the 16 channel UAD interface. But if he didn't have that, he would only be able to load like 2 VST plugins on that machine because it's not designed for anything too advanced.
My MacBook Pro that I use is old as shit too.
Yeah, I just replaced my 2012 MacBook Pro.
I'm on my 2012 right now, and it's only good for one thing, which is like video conferences. I don't use it for recording. I play live occasionally with it, but I've gotten some glitches because I tend to use a lot of plugins, and I don't have like universal audio or anything. But yeah, like at VCV, we don't really focus too much on MacBooks. You've got to have like a reasonable Windows PC. We tell people like a gaming laptop or a gaming desktop, and people think that they pay like $1,700 for a MacBook, and that's a gaming laptop. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
You couldn't play Minecraft on that.
I just looked at my MacBook Pro. Mine's a 2009, so I think I do need to update mine.
Oh yeah.
It's time for me to go to 2012.
I've actually got a 2007 MacBook as well. That's the oldest that VCV supports, but I haven't tested VCV on it in a long time. No one should be using a computer that old with VCV. Like for, I could understand it if it's if it's like a studio piece, you've got all your software in there. It's all licensed. You don't want to reinstall it. It works great. If that's your situation, then keep using the computer that you have. But a lot of people trying VCV like new, they shouldn't be using it on those old studio computers. They need to be using gaming hardware, basically.
Yeah, I was looking at gaming laptops because that piece I recorded with VCV Rack the other day, even though I was using a module that hasn't been optimized yet because that module was using a lot of CPU. You know the one I'm talking about, Andrew. It's a great module, but I mean, I was having to find other modules that were using lower CPU than I'm used to using just to make the patch where it worked out right. Plus, it's an older laptop I was using it on too, so I do need to get a good laptop, and I think I would enjoy VCV Rack much more.
Yeah, as soon as you get like an actual graphics card from, NVIDIA 700 or what is it? Yeah, NVIDIA 700 or higher. I don't really know the AMD equivalent of that, but something like 6 years that you can play a 6-year-old game on. It runs super smooth. No one has any problems with it. It's not like it takes a bunch of CPU on gaming computers. It's just that having those graphics cards, make it 100 times more optimized. So it's not an issue at that point. But yeah, I mean, the whole idea is a lot of Intel processors have graphics cards built into them. The AMD Ryzen processors actually don't. You have to buy a graphics card. So my desktop that doesn't have a graphics card in it, I literally cannot use it because I just shipped off the graphics card in hopes of getting a better one. So I can't even use like the onboard or the integrated GPU in it. But yeah, as soon as I get that computer ready, I've got 32 gigs of RAM in it. Should be able to store some samples in that. It's got 2 1 terabyte SSDs. One of them has all the audio software. The other has all the samples. So yeah, it's like the perfect sampling computer, perfect DAW tracking software. You could record 128 channels on that simultaneously, and you'll have no problem. And the graphics card I just upgraded to a 270 Super, so I'm excited about that. It's like $500. But yeah, that's gonna be my main studio computer. It'll run whatever I throw at it, and then I've got like laptops for testing what normal people are going to be using for VCV. Also, yeah, I'm really hyped up about possibly this year opening up a VCV studio. I'm trying to come up with a good name for it. I think I might just call it the VCV Studio because that's vague enough where it could sort of refer to like a workshop or something, just like a studio workshop, and that's kind of what it's going to be. It'll have a recording studio in it, but you can bring in, hopefully if I get the right place, you'll be able to bring in a drum set, just do some practices there. They'll have a soldering table so you can design your circuits. For myself, I'll have a bunch of tables with like laptops and testing equipment and audio interfaces and all that stuff on it. And yeah, it'll just be like a more optimized workplace for me, but I want it to be as open as possible to anyone that could get some use out of it. So, all I need to do is throw in a coffee machine and like a wine fridge or something, and then just have like shows and synth meets and stuff in it.
Oh yeah, I'm ready for that. Did you look at that? Did you look at any spaces this week or?
Well, I looked at the Boone and was it West Market?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't really like it. It was. I'll leave that up to like a retail store. I'll leave that space for a retail store. It's a nice open space. It's an enormous single room, like 2,500 square foot of just one room. I was like, that's not really good for a studio. I asked the landlord about renting the top floor, like the second space as possibly a living area plus the studio. but they've apparently got some like regulation problems with the building because it is like at least 70 years old probably.
Oh yeah, it is an old building.
So yeah, they've probably got like asbestos or something. Living codes are, or, sorry, zoning codes and building codes are pretty difficult. And if I was in Bristol, it'd be a little bit better, much cheaper. In fact, I know of a couple spaces in Bristol that are up for rent right now that I could just go and they'd be perfect for me. But I don't like Bristol. That's the that's the thing.
That's just such a long drive.
Yeah, the drive sucks. Like I love Bristol. I might get sick of it after a bit. I know that I'm not getting sick of Johnson City because I've lived here for most of my life. Definitely the last 2.5 years or so, I've had no problem living here. But I just want to have like a workshop where other people can regularly come in and out. And I think the plan is to have like a Google Calendar that's public, and anyone can view that and sort of propose an idea about an event or something. And as long as it doesn't cost me like a bunch of money to, like, I don't know, get balloons or whatever. As long as it's pretty much like, you'll set it up and do the thing. And if I have like a trusted person with a key to the place, that's all it'll take for me. Usually it'll be me, but if I'm gone for whatever reason, I'll have a couple people that have keys. I'm hoping to have like the big three security services, which is like camera and like surveillance, insurance, and then alarm system that potentially calls emergency services or myself if that's not possible. But yeah, everything should be what?
I volunteer to support that.
It'll just call Ruth if someone breaks in, and then he'll like.
I'm not that specifically your whole thing. I like it.
What about the other space above?
Oh yeah, the AV club thing.
Yeah.
That looked pretty cool. I haven't gotten a call back from the landlord there, but I talked to the previous tenant, and it looks like a pretty cool space. I think it might have been you that said that the landlord isn't renting to bands anymore because
it used to be a bunch of practice spaces up there.
Yeah, and my band back in like 2008 used to practice there. That was fun.
But I think as long as you kept the noise down during the day, I think it would be fine.
Yeah. I think they don't have like anyone living there. I think it is just workplaces and shops. Yeah. I actually have no idea. It looks like there's like one company name on it, but the others are just kind of unlabeled spaces that may be in use, but I don't know. But yeah, I mean, if I could get a good deal on that, I might just go ahead and do that for a year, because that would get me, like a year from now, I might have a different budget, or I might know more people, and then be able to, get a more suitable space.
You made it cooperative. You thought about that?
Sorry?
You thought about doing a co-op?
Similar to the idea, I've been a member of 3 hacker spaces in the past. One in Oakland, California, the other in Livermore, California, and then one in East Lansing, Michigan. And they're all great, really good stuff. I think all 3 of them had city funding. I don't want to accept funding from the city or ETSU or anyone else, because what that does is it puts regulations on the grant. So in that space, like I want to go in at 3 a.m. and just like have a beer or something. But as soon as I put a grant on the space, then it needs to be like, if it's for high school and ETSU students, it might need to be like kid friendly or like underage friendly. I just don't want to get into that. It's just a space for friends. But
And that space is cheap enough.
oh yeah, for sure.
And I think it'd be a great space for hacker space, maker space, stuff like that. So
Yeah, and there's Spark Plaza, which is kind of like a startup incubator thing. Uh, in my opinion, they have pretty expensive desks. I think there would be a little bit of intersect with what they do because someone could actually rent a open space, like an open, not even a cubicle, but just like a section of a table for like $100 a month or something. And I think people would be up for that. Plus, it would have all my electronic stuff. So if they're doing anything that requires like scopes and power supplies and weird other things or music, then it'd be worth it to them. So
I have a name for you if you want it.
what do you have?
Because I tried to do the same thing that you're talking about years ago, and I called it the Cloisters, which is a collection of spaces for priests and nuns to live in. I thought that was kind of cool name. For me, art is sacred, right? So. You can have it. I'll release it.
Nice. All right.
Holy spaces. The part of the thing was that the space I had tall windows and pillars all through it, so it kind of looked like a cathedral. It was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I was also thinking there's some pretty cool looking churches near downtown. It'd be super awesome if I could somehow just come up with the funding to rent a church and fucking buy a church building.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I would live like in the altar area or
that'd be so
whatever,
badass.
or behind it, like where the communion people go or whatever. That would be my like dorm, and then I'd just go out and like we'd have tables set up where the pews used to be, and oh yeah, we'd host like shows on the altar, so we could have like metal bands or whoever like just play. That I don't think I've ever heard of that before, like a venue being in an old like good architecture church building.
They do it in Europe, of course.
You got the Tabernacle in Atlanta. That used to be a church.
Oh, cool. I just think that's a great idea because a lot of churches go bankrupt. Well, not as many as they should, maybe because they get
Not enough.
government, whatever. But
Not enough.
That church right down the street from me was for lease like a year ago.
yeah, I looked at that. That would have been super cool. At least I think I was looking at the right thing.
Yeah, it was on
You gotta do is
Rome
start a
and-
religion. And you can start a religion.
Yeah, that's true.
Pack free status too.
Uh-huh.
I've been researching it.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched Wild Wild Country, did you guys know about the Sannyasins? Have you guys heard about the Sannyasins?
No.
I don't know. It blows my mind the things that can happen and we don't know about it. A cult. Well, they call it a cult in the documentary. A religious group basically moved from India to a piece of land in Ohio, I think. They bought a huge piece of land and they built a city there, like overnight, and had hundreds and thousands of people there from this religion. And it was this very Eastern free love type scenario, hippie thing. And it freaked everybody out. You have got to see this story. If you haven't heard this before, it blew my mind. It's like, and basically the government ran them out of the country. But the thing about the documentary is I can see that anybody who watches it could see either side of the story being the right side of it. Because when I was a religious person, I just know watching this thing years ago, I would have been like, oh, those freaks, they were right to have been run out of town and chased out of the country. But now looking at it, I'm like, what the crap? Like that's the reason this country was supposedly set up, to give people the freedom to worship and do what they want with their lives. And here, basically, it became a tyrannical Christian scenario that used the law to criminalize everything they were doing. Now, they did break some laws, but the only law they really break before they got crazy was that they were using, basically green card laws, trying to get their followers in the country. And so they were breaking that law, but they weren't doing anything weird. In the end, people started bombing their churches and stuff, and they kind of got militant. But the story is so weird because it's basically like
the way this religion came here and was persecuted into basically trying to defend themselves and eventually got ran out of the country. But you could see it from both sides. I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But so that's part of my research for the cult. When I saw that, I was like, so you're telling me that somebody did an experiment where they tried to get a bunch of people that had the same feelings to live in peace and without any kind of religious restrictions and create their own society using their own money, and they were successful at it. And they were being successful at it with no problems. Like, to me, that's like basically proof that it can be done. Blew my mind. It can be done. It can be done. Like somebody did it already. And if it weren't for the fact that basically the government, which is a Christian government at the time especially, persecuted them out of the country. It's bizarre. And I don't even know what the religion was about. That was kind of another interesting thing about the documentary. It kind of pursued it like just from the, I don't know. Sorry, I'm ranting again, but it's pretty mind-boggling. Starting a cult, yes, we should start a cult.
Yeah. Well, I'm just looking for any space.
What's the timetable?
Like,
Yeah, when do you like?
What is this something like you've been working on? Would this be in a year or 5 years or what?
hopefully this year. COVID is definitely delaying this whole thing, but I kind of started looking in November, December, and I've changed my plan a little bit, but I think I can see it sort of stabilizing because I haven't really changed what I want in a couple months. Yeah, I mean, okay, I could go one of two ways. I could either live in a place attached to the building, or I could just live somewhere else and then commute. But it would be my, my 9 to 5 work area. But if anything's going on after that or during it, that's totally fine. That's the whole idea. I go to Willow Tree Coffee House and some other places to work, and it would just be kind of like offloading that because I'm always taking up a table. I try to buy like 2 coffees throughout the day, but just having my own thing where I can bring all of my gear and just keep it there would be really helpful.
I volunteer.
Yeah, it'd be helpful for me to have a place to work.
What'd you say?
I said I'm going to hop off here and get something to eat.
Sounds good.
All right, cool. We'll see you
Thanks
next
for showing
week.
off that pedal, Jason.
Oh yeah, man. Get you one. Get on the waiting list.
Yeah, I'm already looking at Reverb right now.
Oh, there's some on Reverb.
Yeah.
Cool. There you go, Jamie. Reverb.
All right. I might hold out for the market.
You have no excuse now.
All right, I'll see you guys.
All right,
Take
see you
care.
later. All right, well, I guess we could cut it short this week. If anybody has anything else they want to add, or
Can't really think of any.
Is this recorded on YouTube again?
yeah, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I think so.
So I guess we'll get out of here until next week. Y'all want to do it at like 4:00 next week as well? Give us some more time to get ready. On this
Yeah, that's
Sunday.
probably fine.
Sure.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool. All right, thank you for joining us, Jamie.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll try and have
Yeah.
something to talk about.
Again.
So we'll see you next weekend. Well,
Take care, guys.
all right, see y'all later, everybody. We're out. See you next week.
Is this online?
All right, we've ended the broadcast.